Imagine waking up startled one night to find a demon at the foot of your bed. This being hasn't come to frighten you, but to ask you a single question, one that will unravel everything you believe about life. What if every moment you live today were to repeat exactly as it is for all eternity? This is no hypothetical scenario. This is the brutal essence of Friedrich Nietzsche's Eternal Return, a philosophical sledgehammer designed to shatter our complacency. The terror of this question doesn't lie in some supernatural punishment, but in its merciless ability to expose the truth about how we're actually living. Most of us would recoil at the thought of our current existence becoming our permanent reality, and that very recoiling reveals everything we need to know about the gap between the life we tolerate and the life we truly desire. The power of this thought experiment lies in its terrifying simplicity. Strip away all your excuses about waiting for the right moment, all your fantasies about future transformations, all your comforting lies about temporary compromises, and you're left staring at the raw, unvarnished truth of your present existence. Nietzsche understood that human beings are masters of self-deception, that we construct elaborate narratives to justify our stagnation. The eternal return burns through these illusions like acid, demanding we confront the uncomfortable question: is this life, exactly as I'm living it now, something I would willingly choose to experience again and again for eternity? For most of us, the honest answer would be a resounding no, and that admission carries with it both tremendous pain and tremendous possibility. Consider your typical day from this perspective. The morning alarm you silence with lingering resentment, the breakfast you swallow without tasting, the commute you endure in numb detachment, the work you perform with half-hearted attention, the conversations you conduct through veils of politeness and pretense, the evenings you waste in mindless distraction, the dreams you continually postpone. Would you truly want this to be your eternal reality? The very discomfort this question provokes reveals its value. Nietzsche wasn't interested in comforting philosophy. He wanted to create what he called philosophy with a hammer, ideas so potent they could break through our layers of self-deception and force genuine self-examination. This is where most spiritual and philosophical systems fail us. They offer consolation, they provide excuses, they invent afterlives and second chances and karmic rebalancing to soften life's inherent difficulties. Nietzsche's Eternal Return offers no such comforts. It presents existence in its starkest terms. This might be all there is, and this might be all there ever will be. The terrifying and liberating implication is that we must find meaning and justification, not in some imagined future redemption, but in the present reality of our lives as we're actually living them. There's no cosmic judge coming to reward your sacrifices, no grand finale where everything makes sense, just the endless repetition of the choices you're making right now. The psychological impact of truly internalizing this idea can be revolutionary. Suddenly, those minor daily compromises take on eternal significance. That conversation you're avoiding, that creative project you keep postponing, that unhealthy relationship you tolerate, these aren't just temporary situations, they become potential eternal patterns. Nietzsche's contemporary, the psychologist Pierre Janet, observed that many people spend their lives in a kind of waking trance, going through motions established long ago without conscious choice. The eternal return shatters this trance by forcing us to consider whether we willingly choose our current patterns forever. This isn't about achieving some impossible standard of perfect living. It's about radical honesty and intentionality. The German poet Rilke captured this when he wrote, "Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer." The eternal return transforms from a terrifying prospect to an empowering framework when we realize it's not demanding perfection, but authenticity. A life worth repeating might still contain pain and struggle, but it would be pain and struggle chosen consciously, experienced meaningfully, endured for purposes we fully embrace. The practical application of this philosophy manifests in what Nietzsche called Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. This isn't passive resignation. but active embrace of reality as the raw material for creating meaning. Consider two people performing the same menial job. One experiences it as soul-crushing drudgery, counting minutes until escape. The other finds dignity in perfecting their craft, connecting with coworkers, appreciating the rhythmic meditation of routine. Same external circumstances, radically different internal orientations. The Eternal Return asks which of these orientations we're cultivating in our own lives. Modern psychology confirms what Nietzsche intuited, that much of human suffering stems not from circumstances themselves, but from our relationship to those circumstances. Viktor Frankl, writing from the depths of Nazi concentration camps, observed that even in the most horrific conditions, humans retain the freedom to choose their attitude toward their suffering. This is the essence of embracing one's fate, not denying hardship, but finding ways to meet it with purpose and dignity. When we apply the lens of eternal return to our daily lives, we begin to notice all the subtle ways we resist our present experience, all the mental energy wasted wishing things were different rather than engaging fully with what is. The transformative power of this philosophy lies in its ability to convert existential dread into creative fuel. That project you've been postponing for years suddenly takes on new urgency when viewed through the lens of eternal repetition. That difficult conversation you've been avoiding becomes necessary when you consider you might be choosing to avoid it forever. Those small daily acts of cowardice or laziness or dishonesty accumulate into an eternal pattern you might be creating right now, one unfulfilling moment at a time. Conversely, every act of courage, every moment of authentic connection, every instance of choosing what's meaningful over what's easy becomes a brick in the foundation of a life you could proudly live forever. Nietzsche's philosophy ultimately points toward what he called becoming who you are. Not some idealized future version of yourself, but the fullest expression of your present potential. The Eternal Return serves as a constant reminder that we're always in the process of creating ourselves through our choices. French philosopher Albert Camus developed this idea further in his concept of the myth of Sisyphus, arguing that even in an inherently meaningless universe, we can find fulfillment through conscious engagement with our struggles. Like Sisyphus eternally pushing his boulder uphill, we must imagine ourselves happy in our repetitive tasks by investing them with personal meaning. This perspective transforms ordinary existence into something extraordinary. Your morning routine becomes a ritual worth perfecting. Your work becomes a craft worth mastering. Your relationships become encounters worth your full presence. Not because some external authority demands it, but because you've chosen to live in a way that needs no justification beyond itself. The Japanese concept of ikigai, the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for, captures this ideal of a life so intrinsically meaningful that its eternal repetition would be a gift rather than a curse. The ultimate challenge of the eternal return isn't intellectual but existential. It's easy to discuss this concept philosophically. The real test comes in applying it to the concrete reality of your daily choices. That difficult creative project you keep avoiding, would you want to be avoiding it forever? That important relationship you've been neglecting, would you choose this neglect eternally? Those small acts of self-betrayal you rationalize as temporary, are you willing to make them permanent features of your existence? Nietzsche's demon doesn't offer salvation or damnation, just the unflinching mirror of self-awareness. In this light, the eternal return becomes not a threat, but the most profound opportunity imaginable. The chance to live with such intentionality and authenticity that even eternity couldn't diminish your satisfaction. To reach a state where, if faced with the prospect of reliving your life exactly as it's been, you could respond not with horror, but with profound gratitude. Yes, again and again, for all eternity. This is the ultimate measure of a life well lived. Not wealth accumulated, not fame achieved, but the deep, unshakable knowledge that you've lived in alignment with your truest self. When every choice is made with the awareness that it might echo forever, life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you create, moment by moment, with the solemn joy of an artist signing their name to a masterpiece. The demon's question remains: what would you do if today repeated forever? Your life, as you're living it right now, is already answering.